Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about HIPAA. HIPAA is a very big subject, and as healthcare professionals, we know you've all heard about this subject before. So just a brief overview here, and of course it's your responsibility to understand HIPAA. The HIPAA is about privileged information, and we all know at this point we've been granted access to privileged information. In fact, the more private, the more famous the individual, the more bizarre the facts are just a few examples of the privileges you're responsible for. PHI is truly in your hands. What is PHI? It's really quite simple. There's a few rules will do the trick. Don't copy PHI, don't save PHI, don't discuss PHI, don't share PHI even generically, and if you violate PHI, you are mandated by law to report it. It used to be that the client or the contractor was responsible for the management of PHI, but it is now on an individual level. I mean, it is individually, you are individually responsible and can be held responsible. What is PHI? It's protected health information. PHI is defined by the HIPAA privacy rules as healthcare information that identifies or could be used to identify an individual. So it doesn't have to be their name, it can be a number, and a lot of other things we'll discuss later on. So results relates to an individual's past, present, or future medical condition, receipt of health care, payment for health care. And it's maintained or transmitted in any form or medium such as paper, digital, every other way that it could be maintained. Breaching PHI. When handling member or company confidential information, you need to consider the safeguards you want employed if this was your personal information. If you have questions or you do breach PHI, there's 2 phone numbers there that you can call. One for Anthem, the Ethics and Compliance Helpline, and one for the direct supervisor at MedLinks. This is a small example of the HIPAA protected items, and I don't need to read through these, but just know there's many, many more than this. But these are some of the top ones. What are your risks? So your risks are going to be mitigated by a lot of things. We're using VMware, we're using the RSA tokens, we're using firewalls. We're doing all kinds of things to protect you from accidentally breaching PHI, but PHI can still be breached in some ways that technology is not quite caught up with. You can take a screenshot of your computer, that could breach PHI. If you're working from home and you have access to your office, you need to follow all of the standard procedures about turning off your PC, your tablet, your laptop. If you have written documents, those need to be shredded daily or put under lock and key. You shouldn't be sharing a computer with a family member or anybody who could stumble upon PHI. And there's other PHI safeguards. You know, keep paper safe at all times. Don't let that out of your control. Don't leave PHI exposed face up on your desk. If you get up to use the restroom or do something, leave your desk for a minute. You need to think about PHI as you walk away. Never post confidential information in your office or cubicle. Lock your computer when you walk away. Control-Alt-Delete and select the lock computer. Never post or display computer login information or passwords. You know, you need to put those under lock and key. There's a very simple way to do that with Excel, where you basically have to password in. So if you have a written password book, those are generally a bad idea. And we'll talk a little bit about fax machines in a minute. A lot of people, you know, they have a fax machine, and we're not big on fax machines over here, but a lot of people will have a fax machine, and, you know, they use their fax machine for a couple of years, and then out the door it goes. Well, you want to pull the hard drive out of that, because a fax machine is a computer, and it's copying images, and so really anything you're doing associated with PHI is being saved there. Always want to use a fax cover sheet, and you want to destroy documents with PHI, and you want to get a receipt of the destruction of those documents in case that issue ever came up for you. Here is a list of resources, and we'll send you this presentation. in PDF format, but here's a list of some resources that you can access if you want to learn more. Again, if you breach PHI, we would just want to show you these phone numbers one more time. That's the Ethics and Compliance Helpline at Anthem and the Supervisory Helpline at Medlinks. A couple of questions you should ask when you're reviewing a record. Am I in the correct record? Am I looking at the record I'm supposed to be looking at? Another question you should be asking is, can I view de-identified records? Do I really need to have the PHI, or can I do what I need to do without looking at an identifiable record? And then, do I need to view this? You know, if you're in the photos section of a medical record, right, there's no one on this project that would need to be in that section of a record. So is there a legitimate reason to view this page? And with digital electronic health records, every click you do, every page you view, and the time you spend on that page can be reviewed in a retrospective audit. So you need to be sure about what you're looking at. Email, when you're using WellPoint's email, Anthem email, you're going to type in secure in the body of the email, and that makes sure that the email is encrypted. If you're using Medlink's email, we have a share file encrypted mail service. So if you're sending PHI, you need to be 100% sure that the email you're using is an encrypted email. Just your regular old Gmail or Yahoo or whatever you might be using is not nearly enough encryption. Once again, fax transmission, you know, all those images are saved on your hard drive. All of that information is saved there. So if you have a choice, don't fax. There are much better ways to do it. And when you get rid of your fax machine, I would recommend you pull the hard drive and destroy it. Thanks from Medlink's Cost Containment and Medlink Staffing and WellPoint. Thanks for watching.